now I hear myself. Okay. Apparently it was turned down all the way. So it should be working now whenever the delay catches up. I know there is a nice amount of delay on these things. There's going to be a bit of a hum because the heater's on. I ain't turning it off because it's like cold outside and I don't really feel like being too cold right now. So I just wanted to hop on real quick because, okay, so live streaming is like a whole nother annoyance in itself, like for real. So the previous times I've done live streaming have been over the Wi-Fi in the house, which shouldn't be that bad, but apparently it is, even though I have an access point 10 feet that way and 10 feet that way on the wall in the shop. So I got the little dongle thing finally for the MacBook so I can plug in the Ethernet. And just getting that to work was interesting because I had two other Ethernet lines in the shop from when I had the mining rigs out here. But apparently those Ethernet cables don't work anymore. So I spent I don't know how long yesterday trying to get and figure out why this cable, which worked a year ago and hasn't done anything except be rolled up in the corner, that doesn't work anymore for some reason. No matter what I do on the switch or plug it directly into the router or whatever, the only cable in the shop that works is the one that goes to my computer here in the shop. So I got the Ethernet, the internet hardwire thing figured out, and then of course the stupid video thing stopped working. So then I spent more time yesterday trying to figure out why this encoder box thingy wasn't sending any video into the live streaming program that you have to running on your computer. It's like they don't want you to live stream. They're like, hey, I have an idea. Let's make live streaming as complicated as possible. So I spent a whole bunch of time yesterday going through all the settings, trying to get that thing to bring the video in, and I gave up yesterday. And then today I plug it in, and first thing, it worked. So that's live streaming for you. It's the most frustrating experience I think I've ever had trying to figure out the live streaming. So anyway, I just really wanted to get on here yesterday to see if having a hardwired connection is better than having the Wi-Fi. That's really it. So I figured, hop on today, see if it works. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions for a bit before I get going. I'm going to be filming this today, and I am going to be painting the leveler things so I can finish up that video. So I just finished washing them, and they are just kind of drying until I can get a coat of paint on them. But that's my plan for today, or this afternoon at least. Let's see if anybody has anything going on here in the chat thingy. John asks if I make my own blades for my mill. I don't. I just order them. We just tell them what length you want. They pull it off a reel and they weld them up for you. I don't really go through that many blades, so it's not really, necessary to make my own, I guess. Is this the IT show? That's my life, making things work for the internet. I can't believe how complicated live streaming is. And I'm a fairly technically savvy person. I cannot imagine someone who doesn't know anything about computers or cameras trying to figure out how to set up a live stream with a camera that's not their webcam. It's ridiculous. Is it worth selling cherry logs? I guess. It depends on what people are paying for them. Is it either sell them or turn them into firewood? I guess it depends on how much firewood you need. But if they're decently sized, you might be able to get some money for them. It really depends on the area you're in, the market, and who is buying them. I'm going to try and scroll up, but we'll see what happens. This thing does jump around. The R value of the garage door insulation, that's just 1.5" foam panels. So what are those, like 3? R3 maybe? Something low like that? Whatever 1.5" rigid foam insulation is. I don't sharpen the bandsaw blades. I have a whole stack of them. They need to be sent out for sharpening still. I'm planning to send them out to be sharpened. Cook's Saw, who I buy the blades from, says they'll sharpen that size blade for $8. So I figured I'd at least try it once and then have that experience. I do want to buy the full sharpening setup so I have it. It will never make financial sense for me to do that, but I want the experience of knowing and being able to do that and sharing that with everybody. So someday I will be spending as much as I did on that mill on sharpening equipment for this bandsaw blades. And it is not that cold here. It's like, I don't know what it is in Celsius. It's like, it's warm today actually. It's like 20 Fahrenheit, 19 Fahrenheit. So not that far negative Celsius, which is quite nice. It's supposed to be really cold this weekend, I think, though. I think my favorite woodworking project, it used to be, oh, almost fell over. It used to be the secretary desk, but I think it's the sideboard now. I think that's probably my favorite. It's hard to pick your favorite though, because I love them all so much. Yeah, I guess it's weird because I've never had a problem with this thing not working before. Usually, you just plug it in, and then OBS it's plugged in and it's working. But I don't know, it's goofy. And it moved again. Have I learned any more stuff on the Bridgeport? I personally haven't done anything besides what I've shown, but I mean, I've been watching machining and milling videos for a couple of years now, so it's not like I don't know anything about it, but I haven't physically done the actions yet. Mr. Pete sent me his how to run a Bridgeport mill class, so I'm about halfway through that. If anyone is interested in learning like super in-depth machine usage type stuff, check out his stuff. He's got a lot of he's got like hundreds and hundreds of really great videos on his channel, and he also produces these like instructional courses on Bridgeport and the lathe and a few other things. But it would definitely be worth the money to check that out if anyone's interested in really diving in and learning a lot. I watched a 20-minute video yesterday on power tapping, and prior to that, it was a 20-minute video on drilling on the milling machine. So it's like really in depth. I think this class is like 12 hours of content, which is nice. Okay, yeah, but they moved again, so I'm gonna be jumping here. So I'm sorry if I missed something. They don't make this easy either. How are these comments getting in here? All right, let's boom, banned. All right. This thing behind me, if I had glue dried on the inside, how would I clean that up? First of all, I probably wouldn't, because I would be, when I glue up something like this, I'm pretty particular about how much glue I apply, and since this is a dovetail joint, I would only apply glue to the long grain anyway, so the chances of having any squeeze out on the inside is pretty minimal to begin with, but I would, when it was still wet, I'd come in with either a chisel or a marking knife or something, scrape it out of there a little bit, and then once it's totally dry, I can get in there with either a chisel or a card scraper to get the rest of it out of there. That's just what I do. Glue squeeze out isn't something that I'm super, I think glue squeeze out when you are just getting started and you're like, I'll add more glue than I really need before you really figure that out, how much glue you actually need. Once you figure out how much glue you actually need, all this extra squeeze out into weird places doesn't become quite of a thing anymore. Why did I move the Bridgeport by myself? Why did I move anything by myself? Because I want to? Harry asked about Maker Central. I'm not really sure what hotel I'm booked at. Triton takes care of all of that, but I assume that I'd be at the same place. I don't know. I'll be somewhere. I'll have a room somewhere to stay. I'm looking forward to that. That was a really fun show last year. What do I do with my sawdust? I just dump it out back. I have a whole pile. It actually rots pretty quickly, which is nice. Okay, how much time have I allotted to build the sawmill with April? So I will be there for 6 full days. And then we're also going to have Johnny Brook and JD there for 5 days. They're coming in Sunday, late afternoon, evening. So we'll all be starting together on Monday morning all the way through Friday. And as we went through the plans and the build procedure, it seems like we should have, it's going to be a little close, I think, but we should be cutting on Friday at some point. If everything goes as planned, but we'll see. The nice thing is that now that we actually have the full set of plans with all the steps, I've done it before, and I know everything needs to happen. It's a lot easier to really see everything needs to happen in the right order. And the nice thing about having 4 people is we're going to be doing 2 teams, so we'll be able to split up tasks and sort of multitask through the whole thing, which I think will actually help to speed up the whole productivity as a whole. So 4 people over 5 days, and then let's say we work 10 hours, so that's 40 hours per day, 40 man hours per day. That's a lot of time over those 5 days. Plus, of course, you're going to lose some inefficiency time in there, but you get a couple hundred hours in man hours pretty quickly, I guess. Yeah, I moved again. It is the pink insulation that I have for the door. Western Australia, that's a ways away. Brent, okay, I just moved again. Brent asked about a shop tour of the shop. I did one 4 years ago. And I've been kind of debating whether or not to do one again because really things have changed a bit in the shop, but like the whole layout hasn't really changed a whole lot. The workflow hasn't changed at all. So maybe I'll do an updated one once they get some more of these shop organization things done. But if you want to see the shop, it's on my channel. Just search for shop tour. It's from 2015. I outgrew my shop years and years ago. Do I have recommendations for a trailer for the Log Arch trailer? I don't want to buy one that's not durable enough. It really depends on the size of logs you're going after and what you're. I guess really that's the biggest thing is what size logs do you want, both in terms of like length and width, because that's going to give you the overall weight of those logs. So if you're going after things like I am, where things weigh 4,000 or 5,000 pounds, that's kind of like your sweet spot of things you find. You're going to want something that's fairly well built. And what you really want to find for something like that is an equipment trailer. Those are going to be built a lot better than like a car trailer. Most car trailers or a utility trailer, those equipment trailers are made for hauling heavy equipment. So a bobcat or a skid steer trailer, things like that. That's what you really want to look for. And if you can find something with, bigger axles, you might as well get more axle capacity than you think you're going to need, because that one log you'll find someday will be bigger than your axle capacity, and you'll be like, well, I guess I got to find some other way to get this thing home, like, pulling it into your buddy's dump trailer. Congrats to my wife on her promotion. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. Pretty exciting time here in our world, I guess. Would I ever make myself a longboard? I don't really have anywhere to ride one. And I guess I was kind of into skateboarding and things like when I was younger for like a little bit, but I don't know, probably not. Maybe as an interesting project that I can give to someone who's a longboarding enthusiast, maybe I consider that, but not for myself. Do I have an email that you can send me questions? Yeah, my email address is in every single video except for this one, apparently. So go to any of my videos and just click on the description. It's like at the bottom is all my contact information. All right, I moved again. Oh, man. What's up, Gazanked? How's my house search going? Oh yeah, it's going alright. It's not really going. It's the middle of winter in Minnesota, so no one's really listing houses right now. And last year, as far as new listings went, was pretty slow. So it was pretty slim pickings. So we didn't find anything that we were even like all that interested in last year. So we'll see if the spring housing market is any better, and hopefully we'll find something that we actually like this year. That's kind of the sticking point for us is I never want to move again. So we're really looking for the perfect house for us or perfect property for us so I don't have to worry about it ever again. And yeah, and we're not really, I mean, we're in a rush in the sense that I really don't want to live for any more than I have to. But at the same time, there's nothing that's forcing us to hurry up and make a decision. So we both don't really want to make a hastily decision at all. I'm going to scroll up in the middle here somewhere and start reading stuff. What should I get first, bandsaw or miter saw? It really depends on the type of stuff you want to make. The first saw I got was a miter saw. That was the first of any saw that I got. But if you already have a way to crosscut things, like a table saw, then maybe having a bandsaw that you can resaw or you can cut curves with might be more advantageous. This really depends on what you want to make and what you already have. Both are good options. Wait, so there's a super chat now, but how do I see the question? Oh, here we go. Oh, thank you, Craig. $5 will help me keep going. How do I get out of this now? Okie dokie. Apparently I can't keep going because now I can't get out of the super chat. Oh, there we go. All right. I'd love to see instructional videos on the mill build. You'll be attempting to build one yourself. Do I have any videos about building mine? I have 20 videos about building mine. There is a playlist on the channel called Wide Cutting Bandsaw Mill Build that you can check out. It's got all of those videos that go through the entire process of one guy who has no idea what he's doing building a sawmill in his backyard. Quite fun. Similar kind of question. Charles asks, will I be selling my bandsaw plans or otherwise making them available? Yep, they've been available since June. They're over on my website, and you can get them there, and they're electronic, and you can get them like as soon as you check out. Hey, Greg. I guess you want a catch-up shop tour, I guess. I'll do it maybe this spring when things are a little less, disorganized. I have to say that, like, when I did that first shop tour, my shop had never been cleaner than that day. Total investment on a log mill is about $8,500. That's how much I did it for, but depending on what materials you use, steel prices these days probably going to be more. David asks, any chance of you going down to work with April on her sawmill? Yes, I'm going on the 2nd of February. I'll be leaving. How do you get so fly? I don't know. I'm a white guy. What's up? Connor's girlfriend, Katie, who is eating chips. Sunrise dovetail class? No. So Wolf Party asked, if I was to remake my sawmill, what would I do differently? So I have gotten that question a few times, and as I was building it, I knew I was going to get that question when I was done. And the things that I would do differently, not really much at all. I would probably make it bigger, just for the sake of making it bigger, not for any practical purpose, but that's really about it. I put a ton of thought into every single little bit of design that I put into that mill, so that I wouldn't have to have that moment where I'm like, this is not good enough. I should probably change this or do something different here. I really thought through all the little aspects of everything that I put into that, because I only wanted to do it once, and I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time after I built it, building it some more, working on it some more, adding things, modifying things. I wanted to build it and be done with it, because I'd rather be cutting logs than working on the mill. Moved again. What's up, Dima? Aren't you like at work? I am keeping my old drill press. It's going to be a lot more, I don't know, handy, I guess, for woodworking type stuff because it's really all you need for woodworking. And I don't have to worry about keeping the mill clean and free of chips and sawdust and stuff if I use it all the time for drilling in wood. So for drilling quick holes, the drill press, the little drill press, I think is still going to be pretty handy to have around. Plus, how can I get rid of that thing? It's like an iconic part of this channel. Brian! Brian says, since he's at work with no pay, sorry about that, Brian. God, it sucks. Can you recommend a guild video to get/watch? See, I don't remember which ones you even have. I'm pretty sure you have most of them, or a lot of them. At least the ones that I've done. I know you watched the whole High Boy thing already. I don't know. I think if you have the farmhouse table, I would watch that because there's a lot of like big pieces of wood being moved around, which has a high entertainment value, I think. So that's what I'm gonna go with on a cold winter day, watching Matt move slabs around and flattening 22-inch wide white oak slabs on the patio, complaining about it raining all the time. Lyle says, there's lots of tear out on the demonstration of the rabbit cut at low speed on the mill. I can grab that real quick. So the rabbit cut on the mill, it's fuzzy. It's plywood veneer. So it's actually not even torn out yet. It's just sitting there on the surface. The veneer layer is like folded up and kind of splintery. So there's a couple of things to go on there. First off, that end mill is an upcut, so it's pulling the chips and everything up. So that's causing these fibers to stand straight up like that. That mill is also not running fast enough to really put a really good finish on wood. But scoring the work with a knife first would obviously help prevent this, just like any other kind of cut. But, there's that. And that end mill's pretty dull. So there's like every single factor that would cause a poor cut is happening when I did this. But demonstration purposes, right? How many bandsaws am I aware of that have been built for my plans? I am not aware of any that are completed, but I know of many that are in progress, which is a very, very bizarre feeling. Just to know that there's people out there that are making these things, and that thing is going to be in different places all over the world. It's very, very surreal, but I'm looking forward to seeing like a whole bunch of them come to life and hearing everybody's stories of making that mill and their experiences of what led them to the point where they're like, I should build a giant bandsaw mill too. Because, I don't know, it sounds pretty funny. The folks at Woodcraft, a clean shop makes no money. Very true, because I'm not doing anything. I usually have several projects going on. Alright, I'm going to bump down to the bottom here. Tiffany, how's it going? Do I charge extra to come with the mill plans? No, maybe. Depends who you are, I guess. For April, I thought it was a fun project. Oh, man. Yes, Bridgeports are for machine shops, not wood shops, but we're not all blessed with 2 shops. I've ever worked with African Blackwood. I have, like, once. One time. I have a turning blank. I think I still have it in this drawer. Right here. This is my African Blackwood. The only time I've worked with this is when I made the bow ties for the flooring. So I made 4? Yeah, there's 4 bow ties in that floor upstairs. And I made it out of this turning blank. That was the blank I was going to use for the faux ebony plugs for the Adirondack chairs that I still haven't done. Do I ever buy lumber anymore? I really haven't ever bought a whole lot of lumber. I guess a while ago I'd buy like wet lumber, rough sawn lumber or something, but like everything I've done the last, I don't know, since I've had a YouTube channel has been all stuff that I've cut myself. So I don't know. I think I've bought lumber what, like once, twice since I've had a channel. I've gone to the lumber yard. So including the first time I went to a lumber yard was just a couple years ago, which is pretty cool. Demon wants me to dance. Hello from Sweden. Has anyone? This is a good question from Johnny. Has anyone ever asked you to apprentice under me? And if so, what do I expect from them? Uh, a lot of people have asked like something to that extent, but I think the issue is the fact that I'm not like a furniture company. I'm not out here every day doing projects, making, you know, pieces of work that anyone would get any kind of woodworking apprenticeship value from me, unless it's in a very short kind of term. If you're really interested in learning how to be a content creator on the internet, then that would be a perfect fit because that's what I do. But as far as like making furniture and learning how to do that, there's no way I could actually structure that to make it all that valuable to anybody. And there's not a whole lot of room to work in here either. So I wouldn't really. It would be very obnoxious, to be honest, to have another person here follow me around or working on something else because there isn't room. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-boo. Always moving. How much does it actually slow you down to do video everything properly? Like, does it add 50% to the build time? It adds about 4 times, 3 to 4 times to the build time. And it really depends on the type of project and how much detail I'm going into in that project. The less detail, the less video work. But at the same time, you have to remember that just because it takes you so much more time to do the project, that's just the start of the actual project because the second half of the project happens in the computer. Editing the video, getting the video ready to be released, doing all the stuff that goes along with doing the video, putting all the links together for the description, putting together all of the things you can click on in the video, if you're going to do a build article like I try to do on the website, it's another thing. So I have to go through and get pictures of every step and then write up something about every single step. So the time spent in post-production for a single release can easily add up to 1 to 2 days of work on top of, if you're doing a small project that takes you a day or two to film, that's a 4-day production schedule to get one project video out or one video about something out. So it's a whole nother way of working. And when I say like I am not a woodworker, I am a video producer, it's like that's what I do for a living. My product is a video. My product is not the physical thing that you see me make anymore. I don't make any money from this. I make my living and my income from the videos. It's a very, very interesting business model. What was the first dovetails I cut? That was actually these. It was through miter dovetails on a toy box that I made for Lindsay's friend who had just had a baby. So I made him a toy box, and he's like 8 now. It's crazy. But that was the first one I did. I started on the kitchen counter at my last house because I didn't have a workbench in the house, and I didn't want to spend all the time waiting in the garage waiting for the kerosene heater to heat up the shop every night. So I was just chiseling away at the kitchen counter for a while, and then I built a bench in the basement. But yeah, I was a little ambitious with the through miter dovetails, those first dovetails. Favorite small projects to do in batches or standalone realization piece? Anything where I can kind of like zone out and just go through the motions. So it's probably gonna sound kind of weird, but I like making stickers. There's something about just standing there ripping pieces of wood at the table saw, not really thinking about anything else than just feeding the board through. That's quite nice. Um, Making these little serving platter things, that's a decently fun project because you're turning something that looks like junk into something that's decently looking and makes good gifts and doesn't take a whole lot of time. So I've only done that project twice, but I think I'll probably do some more of those every year just as a way to do something else that is relatively quick and has a really, I guess, a high value in a sense that there is something really physical that's really nice that has some value, but it didn't take a whole lot of time to get to that point, which is really nice. Dima is critiquing my dance skills. I would like to see Dima do some dancing. That'd be nice. And moving in. How many terabytes of footage do I have? I would have to go check, but I'm sure it's probably getting close to 10. I'm sure. I think. Yes, I have a 20 terabyte array. I think it's about half full. So probably about 10. Thank you, William. You think I need a bigger shop? I totally agree. Which is, it's funny because when I get that bigger shop, it's going to be very, very bizarre. Do slabs take longer to dry in Minnesota because it's constantly cold? The nice thing about the cold is that it's also very dry. So at least right now, this time of year, once it gets closer to freezing, the air is very dry, so it does have a pretty high capacity for moisture. And that's especially true if you use your house like a kiln. It is 10% at 70 degrees in the house right now, so the stuff that's drying in there is I have to slow it down because it dries too fast otherwise. So that's why, like when you watched my air drying lumber video, I know people kind of missed the point in that one. They tell me all the problems with the way I dry my wood, but they're not really problems because I do things intentionally with the thought that they will slow the drying process. So the stickers in the house are only ½ inch, and I put the stack up against the wall so there is no natural airflow through there, so I can control the airflow myself with a fan. So I know that unless I'm running the fan, there's no airflow through the stack, which allows time for the moisture deep inside the wood to migrate to the outside without the outside getting too dry. That's how you get case hardening, which you can do inside of a house, which is just crazy. I know people want maybe to build a kiln all the time, but the basement works so ridiculously well for it. How big is the shop? It's a 2-car garage. It's about 20 by 20. Do I sell any slabs off the mill? Yep, almost all of them. So once they're dry, they are for sale. I know some people that are patient and interested, they have pre-ordered them. So I do take deposits on slabs. If there's one that you're interested in, I'll give you a rough date when it's ready to be, when it'll be ready and dry, so you can come pick it up. When I move into a bigger shop, are you still house shopping? Answered that. I don't know how long I've been doing this for. 10, 20 minutes ago. You should be able to hop back. Thank you, Vinsky. Thank you, Vinsky. Adam asks, what's the drying rate for indoors at 10%? So if you just let wood just dry as fast as it's going to, it'll dry like in 4 weeks probably, which is way too fast. So I slow, well, 1-inch lumber will dry in about 4 weeks, but I try to target maybe 10 weeks is kind of like the sweet spot I found for 4-quarter. Start going too fast, especially the stuff that I like that has a lot of like weird figure in it. It's going to have a lot more stress in it. So if you cut up a board in two, ripping it in two, and it goes like this, that doesn't usually happen with my stuff because it doesn't have any induced drying stress, which is nice. Price range of the slabs I've sold, most of them are a couple $100. Okay, let's move again. Where did I find my planer? That one I bought used, and someone reached out to me to see if I wanted it because I had a 15-inch and I wanted a bigger one. And I still want a bigger one, but I don't have space for a bigger one. I'm down at the bottom, I think. To pre-order a slab, just shoot me an email and just let me know the timestamp in the video of the slab you're interested in. I can let you know pricing and when it will be available, or if it's already sold. Benjamin says, here in Germany, all the massive old planers, jointers, saws, etc. are dirt cheap. The same with the secondhand stuff in Minnesota. I mean, I guess you just have to be able to find them. So the dirt cheap stuff is the things you're gonna find at an auction. So you have to like watch the auction sites and know if they're happening. And I mean, I guess it depends on the particular auction, who's going to it, or who's bidding on the stuff as to what price you actually get for it. But I wouldn't say things are dirt cheap. Other things, out of the things I've seen that go at auction, they don't seem super dirt cheap. But what do I know? Maybe they are dirt cheap. They could be. Again, it depends on who's bidding. If someone is really interested in that misses it, then you're not bidding against someone who really wants that thing, and it goes for less. But sometimes you get lucky on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace as well. It really just depends. Ed says, watch the crazy framer build a house the winter. I have. It's ridiculous. Then think about building your own. No. No. I personally will never build my own house. I would like to move. I don't want to be building a house for 10 years. Mike says, when Matt pauses to read the comments, he keeps thinking the video has frozen. Do I really not move at all when I'm trying to read these things? Can I comment using silver maple? Is it worth using for woodworking? How's the hardness? It's like a medium to soft hardness wood. It's workbench silver maple. It's quite nice as a, I don't know, it's an easy wood to work. It's got a Jenka hardness around 700, so it's a bit softer than cherry. I think it's about poplar. I think poplar is 700 or 600, something like that. Is that right? I've never used poplar, so I don't even know. But I think it's about the same hardness as poplar. Pretty stable stuff. I don't know. It's been nice to work with the few times I've had the opportunity to do so. Hello from Rochester. How's the snow up there? We just have a dusting. It's not even snowing, but I hear it's snowing other places. Hopefully it's not too crazy down there. Building houses is not fun. I know. How's the floor upstairs holding up? As far as wear goes, it's holding up ridiculously well. So I have my two boys, and they are not soft or gentle on anything. It's ridiculous how rough they are and everything. The floor still looks great as far as finish quality goes. There's some light kind of scratching in the surface, but the ash is pretty hard, so it's not a whole lot of denting or any kind of deep scratches. All the wear is surface level, so the finish actually held up really well. That was, I don't remember what it was called now. It was something that the flooring guys use that would kill you if you sit in the room with it. The biggest problem, or the biggest mistake, I guess, I made with that floor, and it's not a mistake that I could really envision happening, was when I installed that, it was the middle of summer, and that was back in the time where my wife absolutely despised air conditioning and did not want air conditioning and had no desire to have air conditioning ever. So I figured, I guess my life will be air conditioning-less for the rest of my life. So I installed that flooring at the most humid time of year in that room, and it has never returned to that humidity because now in the summer the house is air conditioned and the humidity level in the house is so much lower than when I installed it. So it has year-round gaps in the joints, which I don't care about. The rest of the house has original flooring from the 50s, and that's already developed those gaps to stay there anyway. So it kind of matches the rest of the house. But in retrospect, probably should have installed it more in the wintertime, but that's just when I had time to do it. And I didn't think she would ever let me get air conditioning. But once we had a baby, and she realized that the baby sleeps better when there's air conditioning, which means we all sleep better, then we got air conditioning. I was told the wood movement is a myth. Yeah, it's mythical. Glitza, that's what it was. Yes, Glitza seal coat, and then the whatever the I don't remember the actual product. There was two different. There was a seal coat and like a top coat. They were just called top coat. Yeah, finishing the backyard shed is not a fun project either. No, I still have to do that. I finished it in 2014, so it's been 5 years since it's been out there without dormer windows and trim. I might do that this year. What's the noise level like from outside the shop? It's actually pretty quiet. I did measure it that one time where I did the comparison on the noise levels of the dust collectors, but I'm pretty sure it said 70 decibels about 10 feet away from the building, but I don't really trust the accuracy of or at the time, I still don't trust the accuracy of the decibel meter on the phone thing. So it was 70 from out there, but it's just kind of like a gentle hum from outside, and the neighbors, there's nobody that's like, the next door is their garage, and then it's the house, so they're a decent ways away, and then that way they're like a whole lot width away, so it's pretty quiet. Hey, Taco1212. Ben says, hey Matt, UK viewer here. Do you have the same hoarder issue most of us joiners have, that you have to keep every last scrap of wood just in case? I used to, and then I realized I was wasting so much space storing wood that I was never going to use. So many things sat around for so many years that just never turned into anything. So now I am like relentless with getting rid of stuff as far as like materials go. So either that's going to be to throw it in my fireplace, or give it to someone else so they can throw it in their fireplace, or give it to someone else that might want to use it for something other than heating or just burning. But at least I get it out of here, and it becomes someone else's problem. That's the real trick, is to make these things someone else's problem. Once you realize how much space you can save and how much less clutter you can have by not having a little piece of wood everywhere, that's when it like really is like, it's an aha moment. It's amazing. Bradley from Bentonville, Arkansas. Love the sawmill you built. Well done. Thank you. Thank you so much. How am I going to fit a metal lathe in here? I'm going to tell you about that. So right now I have all of my hand tools over on that little like temporary table thing. So once I have this thing done, I have all my hand tools put away, I'll have that 6 feet of space back there again that I had when I was building the sideboard. So that should give me space for a metal lathe should I feel the need to acquire a decent sized one. I'm not really in a rush to do that, but it is on the purchase list. That's for darn sure. I guess I could stack it like underneath my wood lathe. Could be kind of fun. There's a lot of very nice comments in here. Thank you, everybody. How's the cabin build going? It's going pretty well. I'm like, 3 weeks ahead right now, which is kind of nice for the guild build. So hopefully with this thing, it's really not a complicated build. So if I can get through a lot of these longer, more drawn out as far as production time goes, the joinery videos, once I can get through those, everything else will go pretty quickly because they're just making all the tool holders and little stuff like that. So that should go pretty well. I do need to build a lathe carousel. What do you think of that idea? That sounds fantastic. Carousel for everything. The Lathy Susan. Wow, that's hard to say. The Lathy Susan. Hey Art, how's it going? Shouldn't you be working on your kitchen or something? I saw that though. That's coming along really nicely. If you haven't seen Art's IKEA kitchen hack thing that he's doing, he's like making IKEA kitchen cabinets look pretty sweet and awesome with cherry panels and cherry faces on the drawers. You check it out. He's in the comments. You can check out his videos, but it's looking really good. Not gonna say your old kitchen was ugly, but it kind of was. That's true. I can turn wood on a metal lathe, so I can just get rid of the wood lathe. I don't even need that thing. Well, everybody's jumping in now suddenly. All right, let me just jump in here. It's been 50 minutes already. All right, I gotta go do stuff pretty soon. Let me just answer a few more questions real quick, and then I'm gonna actually get to work. Not that this isn't work, but other things. I will check out those auctions, Nicholas. I haven't checked any of those. I haven't really looked at much stuff for the Bridgeport at this point. I've just been like thinking about the day I can finally strip it down and get it all clean. It actually sounds kind of fun. I like tinkering. I like that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be a really fun project just to get it cleaned up and looking nice. Greetings from China. Wow. Hello. Is the spread on your bandsaw mill? I don't know what that means. Do I woodwork full time? I produce videos that are mostly about woodworking full time. It's always a means to an end so far. The metal stuff always just is for the wood. How many offers do you get from viewers to donate large logs? Like donate large logs to me? Man, not super often. Not that much. A few times here and there, I get some emails about some logs, but like I don't have a time to go out and get everything, and then like I bring it here, and I don't have space to store all these things either. So I have to be very selective and very particular about how much stuff I bring in here because I don't have the space, and I guess as a secondary, I don't have the time to do that much milling. Iron and oak sawmills. Hope to be able to do joinery as well as you do. How long have I been doing it? Like depends on what kind of joinery you want to think about or ask about, I guess. But like woodworking as a whole, I've been doing that just over 10 years, 10 and a half years. Um, I don't know, like dovetails. I did the first dovetails in 2011. That was my first time doing those. Most of the early stuff was I did a lot of plywood like cases with face frames, um, stuff like that. So most of the joinery on the plywood was rabbets and dados. And then once I started getting into solid wood stuff, I was doing more dovetails and Morrison tenon and things like that. But I'm a few years into it now, which is it's nice. This is my first Crotch Man live. So glad. I'm so glad. Is there any way to scale down the plans of your mill if you want something smaller, something similar, but you don't need it that big? Yes, yeah, there is. So on, I don't know what page is it? One of these pages, I've done all of the heavy lifting for you. And by that I mean there's every component that you need to modify depending on what capacity you want to change. So if you want to decrease the cut capacity by 12 inches, you would take 12 inches off of all of these, and then like the same for any of the other dimensions you could possibly want. So I have them all listed there, so you can at least get through that process a little bit easier. Have I ever sprayed, stain, and clear coat? I haven't sprayed for years. I started brushing, and then I went to spraying, and then I went to wipe on. And I've been doing wipe on for I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years now, something like that. I just enjoy that process a lot more than spraying. Spraying is just kind of messy. Takes a lot of cleanup work, and I don't know. I just never really enjoyed it that much. But wipe on, I really enjoy. It's a lot harder to screw up too, which is I personally like that aspect of it. Okay, I think I'm gonna jump off here and yeah. Okay, a couple more. Have I ever shipped slabs overseas? I have not. I don't really. I don't personally understand and know all of the custom stuff that goes into that. So that's like a whole other thing you need to like learn and figure out. I just don't have a desire to do that. I don't really have any opinions on the Stanley Sweetheart series because I haven't actually touched them or held any of their tools. They look like a nice upgrade over the crap basic stuff though. If I had to work with only one wood for the rest of my life, what would it be? In what like life and scenario would this even be a thing? I like I like the thing I like about woodworking is that there's such a variety in the materials, even within the same species. So between two different trees, the material could work totally differently and look differently. And that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love wood as a medium because there's so much variety within the medium, which is pretty cool. But as far as workability goes, I do enjoy working with walnut the most. It's probably like one of the easiest woods to work, and it just looks really good. That's just me though. Let the audience help me with house hunting. Unless the audience happens to be living in our perfect house on our perfect property in our perfect area, I don't know how much help that would really be. All right. Yes, you can email me questions. I try and answer as many of those as I can. Matt@mattcremona.com. Hello from the Toronto area. Babinga. All right, I'm going to go and paint. Yeah, I'm going to go do that because I got this video to finish that I started a while ago on making this batch of leveling bases for stacking slabs. So I'm going to finish up this so I can have that video to release. I've got a bunch of videos that still to be released, so I have to work for me. All right, let's see if I can figure out how to turn this live stream off. Thank you, everybody, for popping in to this spontaneous, whatever we want to call this, see if the live stream thing is working thing. I assume since no one's complained that having it on Ethernet has been better. So we'll see. The only other issue I know of is that after the live stream is done, the audio and video sync is off on all of my old live streams. So we'll see if having a hardwire connection fixes that too. But we shall see. So, happy woodworking, and I'll see you next time. Where's the stop button?